Hello, I'm Ruth, and welcome back to This Is How We Roll. This week's episode is called Going to a Restaurant. It's all about the things that I look at when I'm going out to eat. Before we get into the meat of this week's episode, I have some announcements to make. First of all, the name of my channel will be changing back to This Is How We Roll. In fact, I've already changed it back. I'm sorry, I know it's kind of confusing because the name of the channel went from This Is How We Roll to Ruth Hetman. Now it's back to This Is How We Roll. I'm still kind of new to this YouTube thing and I'm getting everything figured out. So thank you for bearing with me while I do that. Secondly, I'd like to announce that I'm going to be starting a new series on my YouTube channel called Poetry Pandemonium. Every week, I'm going to be reading you a poem that I've written, and I'm going to be telling you a little bit about why I wrote that poem. I'm hoping to be getting up the first episode later this week. So, getting back into the meat of this week's episode. Just like anywhere else I go, when I'm going to a restaurant, I always have to check for accessibility to make sure that I can get into it. Luckily, this isn't really too much of a problem in cities and in suburbs. However, a lot of the times when I go to the beach, I have to be more careful because not everything there is wheelchair accessible. Apart from my ability to get into the restaurant, I always ask where the wheelchair accessible seating is if it's not immediately visible. There is also a chance that, if you're going to a restaurant with 2 stories, the downstairs might be packed and the waitress might try to put you upstairs, but you can just politely tell them that you can't go upstairs unless there's an elevator, and they will either have you seated at the first available downstairs spot or they'll show you where the elevator is. When it comes to actually eating and drinking in the restaurant, I try to find things that I think are a little bit more of a finger food, or something that I feel like I'll be able to pick up with a fork easily. I do have a bit of a difficulty using my hands, so I try to make it as easy as possible in public because I don't want to spill things on myself. If I'm at a typical American restaurant, I try to order finger food like chicken fingers and fries. If I'm at a Mexican restaurant, I try to order a quesadilla instead of tacos. If I'm at an Italian restaurant, I try to order tortellini instead of ravioli. And when it comes to drinking, I usually ask for a straw because I'm typically able to drink with the cup on the table if I lean forward a little bit. One other thing I always am careful of also is making sure that I don't drink too much because I don't want to have to go to the bathroom. I can use public restrooms, but it's quite difficult, so I do try to avoid it. Of course, all of the things I'm saying really depend on how you function and how you can move. I'm just trying to give you some things you might not have thought of before when going to a restaurant. But if you can use your hands a little bit better than me, what you order may not be such a concern. If you can move a little bit better than me, or even walk, then you might not have to have such a concern with what you drink. So, yeah. Finally, I just want to say, always remember that in life things happen, and that's okay. Sometimes it even adds some humor and fun to the experience. So I'm going to tell you guys a story about something that happened on my 20th birthday. Me and my mom went to a really nice restaurant. It's actually my favorite restaurant that I've ever been to. And we decided to order pizza because we thought that would be something that would be quite easy for me to eat. Well, when it actually arrived at the table, we discovered the complete opposite was true. The slices were very big, and the pizza was very floppy. It was kind of New York style. It was very, very tasty, but it was also very difficult to eat. At first, me and my mom both tried folding it, like in half and stuff, but that didn't work. So we ended up cutting it into little pieces. At first, my mom was just cutting mine, but then she realized, that actually might be an easy way to eat it for herself as well, and ended up doing the same thing for her own. It's really safe to say that lunch was messy, but it was fun and it was an experience, and we just kind of went with it. So I encourage you guys to do the same. Plan for things the best you can, but when they don't go exactly right, don't get too upset. Just go with it. Thank you so much for watching. That's it for this episode. Until next time, remember, we're all different, so just roll with it.